Last week, Vladimir Putin was assuring his allies. Remember that promise he made to Prime Minister Modi? The Russian president said, "We'll do everything to stop the war in Ukraine." It was a signal towards ending the war. Today, Putin spelled out his plans. It seems like he wants to end the war by doubling down. Nothing less than a victory will suffice for Putin. An accelerated war effort, a new mobilization campaign, and a veiled threat of using nuclear weapons. I repeat, nuclear weapons. The Russian president's address to the nation marked a turning point in the war today. And on Gravitas tonight, we'll decode Putin's next move. Last night, the Russian president kept everyone guessing. His address to the nation was delayed for several hours. It finally happened at 8 a.m. Moscow time. The Russian president, speaking from his office, informed the world about the next phase in his offensive in Ukraine. Listen in.
Namely, to protect our homeland, its sovereignty and territorial integrity, to ensure the security of our people and people in the liberated territories, I consider it necessary to support the proposal of the Defense Ministry and of the General Staff to conduct a partial mobilization in the Russian Federation.
You heard him, a partial mobilization. What does that even mean? Russia is calling up its reserve forces. They'll be sent to the front line of the war. Russia has a vast reserve force. Around 25 million citizens are part of it. So how many are being called up for duty now? Just 300,000 for now. Let me repeat that. Just 300,000 soldiers out of a reserve force of 25 million. So clearly, this is not a full-scale mobilization. But it is still a rather significant escalation in this war. Putin said he has signed a decree. Only those with military experience are being called up. So what's driving his decision? Well, it is Putin's determination. The Russian president wants to stand up to the West. Putin's address was singularly targeted at Western powers. He accused the US and allies of blackmailing Russia. The Russian president says the West is trying to destroy his country.
The goal of the West is to weaken, divide and ultimately destroy our country. The West are saying directly that in 1991, they managed to split the Soviet Union, and now it's time to do the same with Russia.
Putin followed up that statement with some serious charges. He didn't present any evidence, however, but Putin claimed a nuclear strike on Russia will be acceptable for some NATO officials. He also blamed Ukraine for attacks near the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia. Remember, Russian forces are in control of this plant. In recent weeks, the threat of a nuclear disaster there have grown. Russian and Ukrainian forces have been involved in clashes, with both sides blaming each other for an escalation. In fact, just today, Ukraine accused Russia of shelling the plant yet again. The United Nations has repeatedly called for a demilitarized zone there, but no one is willing to back down. And Putin's speech has only raised the stakes as of now. The Russian president reminded the world his country has nuclear weapons too. Listen in.
I want to remind those who allow themselves such statements about Russia that our country also has a variety of weapons of destruction, and in some areas even more modern than those in NATO countries. And if the territorial integrity of our country is threatened, we will without question use all the means at our disposal to protect Russia and our people. This is not a bluff.
This is not a bluff, he said. The Kremlin doesn't want to be taken for granted. Putin may have made the announcement now, but many had predicted that an escalation was coming. It was inevitable, they said. In fact, Moscow is already making preparations behind the scenes. A recruitment drive is already underway. Recruitment trucks have been spotted in Russia. They are looking for volunteer fighters. Military service on a contract, the choice of a real man. That's the sales pitch of the Russian forces. A recruitment drive is underway in Russian prisons too. Yes, convicted criminals are being recruited to fight in Ukraine. Russia's private military company, the Wagner Group, is said to be behind this effort. The Wagner Group has ties to the Kremlin, something we've reported on. Reports about recruitment in Russian prisons are not new. They have been floating around for a while now. But now, we have video evidence to corroborate this. Look at this. These pictures are from a Russian prison. The man in the center is believed to be from Wagner. He is making a pitch and asking prisoners to join in.
Я представитель частной военной компании. Наверное, слышали, ЧВК «Вагнер» называется. Война тяжелая. На всякие там чеченские и так далее близко не похоже. Расход боеприпасов у меня приблизительно в 2,5 раза больше, чем в Сталинграде. Минимальный возраст, который мы берем, это 22 года. Если моложе, бумажка от ближайших родственников, что они не против. Максимальный возраст условно, это 50 лет, но если крепкий, прямо здесь на собеседовании делаем элементарные тесты, смотрим, насколько крепок, физическая форма крайне необходима.
The signals are clear. The fighting will intensify in Ukraine. Ukraine is saying that Putin's escalation is an act of desperation. Meanwhile, leaders of Western countries have reacted more sharply. Reports say the European Union is now mulling more sanctions. But it seems that Emmanuel Macron still wants a peaceful resolution. The French president was speaking at the UN General Assembly. He endorsed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's position. Take a look.
Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, was right when he said the time is not for war. It is not for revenge against the West or for opposing the West against the East. It is the time for a collective time for our sovereign equal states to cope together with challenges we face. This is why there's an urgent need to develop a new contract between the North and the South, an effective contract.
Macron made an appeal for global unity, but there are only a few takers for his pitch. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.